Poor Choice's Kitchen. Everybody loves pizza. Turtles love pizza. Rats love pizza. Macaulay Culkin loves pizza. I don't know too many people outside of the lactose intolerant who don't like pizza. And there's even pizza for you guys. So we're gonna start with everything from scratch. We're gonna do our dough from scratch. We're gonna do our pizza sauce from scratch. We're even gonna make a pesto sauce from scratch as our finishing sauce. And it's gonna be delicious, it's gonna be fresh, and you're gonna realize,
wow, making pizza is like really, really easy.
We're gonna start out with our pizza dough. I've told you guys in previous videos the importance of having a scale, a food scale, as well as a food thermometer. I think there's no more important time than when making pizza dough. So we're gonna start with some active dry yeast and some water, but we gotta temp our water. I'm looking for water to get around 110 degrees. I am gonna measure the water by grams when I get back over there, but right now I'm just trying to get temperature. Between 105 and 110 is what we're looking for. 107, that's perfect. All right, we've got our mixing bowl that's gonna go on our KitchenAid, on our food scale. We've got it zeroed out as of right now. I'm gonna change the unit of measure from ounces to grams. And what I want is 325 grams of water between 105 and 110 degrees. So I'm just gonna pour it in slowly. So now that I've got the water in there, I'm gonna zero this out again, and I wanna add 5 grams of active dry yeast. And then I'm actually just gonna take this dough hook that I was gonna use anyways. I'm just gonna kind of stir it around. We're gonna give this about 5 minutes. It'll foam up and bubble a little bit. And we're just giving that yeast a head start before we start putting all the other stuff in here. We've given our yeast a 5-minute head start, and now it is time for us to put our flour in. I'm using double aught flour. We're gonna measure out 500 grams of this flour. And lastly, just 10 grams of kosher salt. You can knead this by hand if you're young and in shape, or you're just looking for a workout to do. It's great to go. You'll have huge, massive arms and shit like that. Really, really great to go. That's how they did it back in the day. I am not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to use this KitchenAid. I've got the dough hook in right now, and I'm just going to lower that. I'm going to lock it in. And I'm gonna set it to 2. Now, what I'm attempting to do is wait for this to clump up. So I'm gonna put it on 2, wait for it to clump up, and then once it does that, I'm gonna set a timer for about 8 minutes. So that literally took about 2 minutes. And as you can see, it's clumped up, it's off the sides. So now what we're gonna do is start a timer for 8 minutes, and this will be the kneading process. It's been 8 minutes. Our dough has been kneading. Look at that. So what we're gonna do is, while I let gravity do its thing and put it back in there, I'm gonna take some extra virgin olive oil. I've got me a nice little bowl right here. I'm just gonna put a little bit in here. We wanna transfer this to this bowl because now we have to let it rise by half. Ah, that's hilarious. I just opened this up and I forgot to take that part off. Poor choices. That's about enough. And I'm just gonna get all the sides here. I'm just gonna get this off the hook. And then what I like to do here is just flip it a few times. Boom, that's it. So at this stage, what we're gonna do is let this double in size, which should take about an hour and a half. One thing I've learned is the hotter the area that you save this in, the quicker it rises by half. In a colder place, it may take a little bit longer. I'm not saying put this in like a sauna or anything or put it in the fridge. I'm saying like just be mindful of that. So I'm gonna cover it with some plastic, nice and sealed, and then I'll check back on this in an hour and a half. But we still got other things to make from scratch, starting with our pizza sauce. So let's get started on that.
I say we just leave the camera here and watch it rise and make people watch an hour and a half of dough rising.
Hey, good time lapse. Nobody's mad at that. It is red sauce time. This is probably the best way to learn like what flavors do, what salt does, what sugar does, what acids and all that things kind of contribute to the flavor of something. Also, it's a very inexpensive thing to make. Like you could literally take your tomatoes, some oregano, and some salt, and you've got pizza sauce. So I'm starting out with some San Marzano tomatoes. This is 28 ounces of it. And so we're gonna start with that. In a food processor, we've got some oregano, some fresh oregano. You can use dried oregano. The aim for me for this recipe is going with all fresh ingredients because that's just the taste I want, but you can use dried oregano, totally fine. So I've just got some oregano here and all I'm gonna do is just take my finger and just slide down that stem and drop it in there. And I don't know, I'm gonna use a few sprigs. So now I'm gonna take some garlic. I've got about 5 cloves of garlic here, maybe 5 and a half because I had some small ones left over. And because it's going to food processor, I don't have to really do much. So just a quick little, get it out of its paper. And I'm just gonna drop this entire bad boy right in here. Next, I've got some basil leaves. I think I'm gonna put about 3 big ones in here for now. I've got a shallot. What is a shallot? It's just a tiny onion, essentially. This is just 1 shallot. We're gonna wait on the salt because this is what's gonna change it afterwards. The same with the sugar, but we are gonna add a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette. Maybe teaspoon and a half, not a lot. We got all this in here, and let's just go ahead and give it a couple pulses and get it broken down, and then we're gonna taste and adjust. This is a no-cook sauce. I know we're conditioned to think that you have to simmer every red sauce for hours and hours and hours. Some you do, some you don't. This one I'm going for freshness, so I don't want to do any cooking right now because technically it's going to cook on the grill when it's in there for 10 minutes at 500 degrees. So I'm going to do a little test. I already know it's going to need salt because I haven't put none in there. Definitely needs that salt. When you're making a sauce like this, I say work in half teaspoons because the last thing you want to do is put a bunch of stuff in there and then you can't go back. You can always put in, but you can't take out. I'm also going to start with some sugar as well. Let's taste again. Better. Definitely more salt. And so again, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of salt. Keep tasting it and you'll start to be like, okay, I'm getting closer to what really tastes good. Also, if you want to, you can add some lemon juice. There's so many things you can add into your red sauces to make it better. Do not feel bound by what Reddit says. But damn, is that good? That's really, really good. That's a fucking pizza sauce right there. Sorry, YouTube, I'm cussing, okay? I know it makes me not friendly to the algorithm, but adults cook, and we cook in adult ways. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna transfer this to this jar, and we're gonna let this sit in the fridge until we're ready to make our pizza, which is probably gonna be in like 6 hours. This will keep fresh for a week. So you have a week to use it, and don't be scared to use it for multiple things. I'm gonna use it for pizza right now, but later on this week, I'm gonna use it for spaghetti, so I will simmer it for a little bit. But yeah, this is a very versatile red sauce, so enjoy. We're gonna make our pesto sauce. We're making a creamy pesto sauce, and this is just our finishing sauce to go on top of the pizza when we're all done. First, we have to toast our nuts. And I'm talking about our pine nuts here. So let's go ahead and get this guy on. And I've got about a half a cup of just pine nuts right here. And you don't have to toast your pine nuts. You can absolutely just throw them straight in, but having made pesto a lot of times, I like it when it's toasted. While our pine nuts are toasting, we're gonna go ahead and add about 2 cups of fresh basil leaves into our food processor, half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I've got 1 clove of garlic here. And the reason why I'm going for a creamy version of pesto sauce is because I'm gonna put it in a sauce bottle, and I don't want it to be all clumped up and stuff like normal pesto is. So let me check on these, even though I know it's still gonna take a second, but I can already start to smell the toastedness on it. And we're just like waiting for them to get like a nice little golden brown. So I'm gonna let those keep going. I'm going to take the zest of a lemon, about a teaspoon worth, so we'll kind of see how it comes out. So I'm gonna take my microplane and just go over the lemon until I think I've got about a teaspoon. All right, so that's about a teaspoon right there of just the zest. Let's check on our nuts. Don't ever leave your nuts unattended. So you see how some of them are getting brown on there? That's exactly what we want. And we're gonna just let these go in here. We're gonna add some salt. And you guys wanna see my new fancy salt shaker. So much better than before. We're not gonna add a lot because we are gonna still do this to taste, but I just wanna get like a good general amount. And some pepper, fresh cracked black pepper. We're gonna drizzle some olive oil in, but we wanna do it at a slow pace. One of the benefits of having a food processor is a lot of them have this special little tool here that allows you to drizzle olive oil really slowly. It has a little hole in the bottom. You pour it in there and it takes care of it for you. So we're gonna utilize that. I am going to put this on low, and then we're gonna pour half a cup of some good virgin olive oil in there, extra virgin olive oil in there, and we're gonna have ourselves a delicious pesto. So away we go. So as you can see, this is slowly draining, and that's what we want. The olive oil is finished drizzling in. Let's just give it a look-see. Looks great. Smells absolutely amazing. Let's give it a quick little taste because we want to see, do we need, I don't think it needs any more salt and pepper. I put about 3/4 of a cup of cream in here. And again, I'm only doing this because I wanted to be a little bit more on the saucier side because it'll come out of our sauce container way easier. Be mindful of all your ingredients. So I am putting pepperoni and bacon on this pizza. So the last thing I want to do is add too much salt to my pesto or my pizza sauce. So just kind of always keep that in the back of your mind. What are you topping this pizza with? Our dough has been chilling for about an hour and a half. It's definitely doubled in size. What I'm gonna do right now is just get ready to divide it up into some dough balls. Easy process. So we're gonna start with just any type of surface we can. Take some flour, get on there because the last thing you want is for your dough to stick. And while that plane flies overhead, let me get my other hand nice and floured. We're gonna take our dough out. All right, so we've got it on here. And then I'm gonna take just a little bit more flour, just hit the surface of it. And what I like to do is as soon as I've taken it out, I can get a good general idea of how to cut this in half because this is enough dough for 2 pizza balls. So I've got a good scope of it. I'm gonna take my bench scraper and I'm gonna go right down the middle there. And so all I'm gonna do here is just flip this over, flip it one more time. Everybody has their own techniques, but what I like to do, if I can show you, is I can just take it and tuck it underneath there. And then what some people will do just to kind of extra get the surface tightened up because ultimately we want our surface tight like that. What some people will do is take this bench scraper, kind of get some of this flour away just so it has something to kind of stick to. They'll put their pizza dough down there and they'll just kind of shape it around, kind of slowly tucking underneath as they do it. And then once we've got our pizza dough ball in a place like that, what we're gonna do is take just any type of container, take a little bit of EVOO, pour it in there, get it nice and greased up the sides as well. Then we're gonna just take our dough ball, put it in, I like to put it down, turn it over, then turn it over one more time. Now that we've got it in our bowl, all we're gonna do is put a lid on, pop it in the fridge for a few hours and it'll be good to go. After about 30 minutes of refrigerating, you could then use it, but I think the longer you let it sit in the fridge, the better the dough is gonna come out as far as like taste and texture goes. In a normal circumstance, I would actually let these go overnight, 24 hours. But today, I'm working with what I got, so let me go ahead and get this one rolled up and then it'll be pizza time and I'm getting really, really hungry, so I can't wait. We are almost ready to get our pizza dough out the fridge and start forming our pizza, but first, I want to be extra fat and extra fast food restaurant-y, and we're going to make a crust sauce just to brush around the edges and put a little bit on top just to add extra go to sleep type flavors. It's really, really easy. You can make any type you want. You can keep it as simple as just some olive oil, or you can do like what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to take half a stick of butter, let those kind of melt a little bit. I've squeezed half a lemon. This is the lemon that we zested earlier, and I'm just going to pour just a little bit of lemon juice in there. Probably half of what that half yielded. I'm gonna take some Italian seasoning and I'm just gonna put some in there. And we're gonna kind of adjust this once it starts coming together. I'm just trying to get a feel for how much it's gonna make. And I'm not measuring this at all other than just the butter. But I don't know, I'm gonna grab a handful, which this is probably about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. Smells good. I'm sure you're catching a whiff of that, Lewis.
Oh, it smells amazing.
Yeah. Let's go a little bit heavier on that. Let me just. Man, that's really damn good. I'm gonna do another 1/4 of Parmesan cheese, just because that's to my liking. So ultimately, like a half cup of Parmesan cheese. Again, I think the fun thing about making pizza and everything from scratch is you can kind of learn how to eyeball everything. I'm gonna let that heat up just for a little bit longer, then I'm gonna take it off. But now it's time for the fun part, which is putting our pizza together. It's been a couple hours, 3 to be exact, and we are ready to make our pizza. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. As much as I've made pizza many, many times, I cannot do the whole twirl thing or all that stuff. Typically, I just take our rolling pin and flatten it out. But for you guys, because I want you to see cooking is full of mistakes. I want to tempt that. And then I'm probably going to quit, and then I'm probably just going to go back to the rolling pin, which is why I have it out. So we'll see what happens. First things first, I've got a pizza peel here, and what I'm going to do is take some parchment paper. And what I like to do in order to know how my pizza is going to fit on here is just take my parchment paper, kind of measure out the distance there so I know it's going to be covered, cut it off, and now I know what size to work with as far as my pizza goes. I'm just going to take some flour here and I'm going to sprinkle it on. I'm going to take our dough out and then I'm going to sprinkle some more flour on top of it. And then what I'm going to do here, start pressing out what is going to start to look like the crust. I can take this and I can kind of just start letting gravity take care of it, but you gotta move. It's kind of working out in my favor, but let me not speak too early. And then right around here, maybe, depending on how your dough is filling, you can start putting over your hands and as you're turning it, kind of pulling it apart. But the idea is as you're turning it and pulling it, that you're trying to get it thin enough to where if you look through it, you will see some light. I'm sure someone who's worked at Pizza Hut or Domino's would be like, yeah, no, that's good, or
Nah, this is where you fucked up at.
and please, by all means, tell me. I want to know. There's nothing more humbling than a 17-year-old telling you you're making your pizza dough wrong. That's about as good as confident as I feel on it. What I'm going to do is get my rolling pin. I'm definitely going to put a lot of flour on it. I put it on my pizza peel. Now I'm just going to roll it out to the edges. Again, we gave it a good try. I'll make this a whole bunch of more times. Actually, that's getting to where I kind of want it. Is it symmetrical? Don't really care. Listen, it's a pizza. It's going to taste good. It's going to look the same shape in your stomach, which is a mash. We're going to start with our red sauce that we made from scratch. I've let this chill in the fridge for a while. We've got some freshly grated mozzarella cheese. You know how I always talk about freshly grating your cheese? No right or wrong way to do it. Put as much pepperoni on or off as you want. I've taken some Roma tomatoes. I've just diced them up. Just going to hit it a little bit. And then last but not least, some bacon. I didn't cook this all the way. I cooked it to just before it got crispy, chopped it up, because remember, it is still going to go on a grill for 10 more minutes at 500 degrees. So we don't want to cook it all the way, otherwise when it comes off, it's going to be burnt. And then I'm going to do one more layer of Parmesan cheese. And what this will kind of do is hold everything together on top of the pizza without completely covering it up. We're going to take our sauce that we made earlier. I've got a little brush right here, and I'm just going to lightly go around, touching on the edges. It's okay if it gets on the parchment paper. Parchment paper is here to be cooked. Because I still have some left over, all I'm gonna do is take my brush, literally just go over the top of it like that. We don't want anything going to waste. We want all the calories, all the fats. And then one more time. You hear Lewis laughing or smirking on the camera because he's like, yo, I never said this was healthy.
I just feel like you just keep like, how can I make it worse?
Yeah. Listen, if you're gonna make it from scratch, it's gotta be amazing. This is good to go. I'm gonna check on my grill real quick. We got it up to 500 degrees, but I do wanna say, if you don't have a grill, you can absolutely put this right in the oven at 500 degrees or whatever the highest temperature it is for your oven. The higher temperature, the better. Mine's going on my pellet grill because I wanna get that wood-fired flavor, but that works, a charcoal grill works, anything that can just get up to a high enough temperature. Our pellet grill is up to 500 degrees. I've allowed my pizza stone to heat up for at least 30 minutes. Still on our parchment paper. I'm gonna open this up. Woo! I feel that heat. I'm gonna throw that on. Make sure it's nice and on there. And then close this guy up. And that's it. It has been 10 minutes. Now, granted, we're not going exactly by the time. We will go by feel. So let me open this up. But I'd say that looks pretty damn good. And just filling on the dough, I like the way it feels all around. So we'll take our pizza peel, go right underneath our parchment paper. Look how easy it is to do that versus if you did it directly on your pizza peel. But this is what we're looking for. And then let's just get it cut up and get ready to enjoy. Pizza is done. And let's get this cut into appropriate slices. Finishing sauce. We're gonna just go on this slice right here. I could do the whole pizza, but that's all we need right there. Don't need a lot. It's just a finishing sauce. and let's dive in. I should put that on the entire pizza, damn. Oh, that's where it's at. This is the beginning of the pizza series. This is the very basic with a little few advanced tweaks. This will not be the last pizza that I make, I promise you that. But at least now you know how to do it.